The night had ended, yet silence did not break. Beneath the Bodhi tree, Siddhartha sat unmoving, a man who had seen all truths, yet felt the trembling of one last question. The dawn light touched his face like mercy remembered, but within his heart, a whisper lingered. Was this the end, or only the beginning? He had conquered desire, fear, and death, yet doubt rose again, soft as a shadow. The world was vast and blind. Could it ever awaken? The earth itself seemed to wait for his answer. If even the enlightened can doubt, what, then, is true faith? The forest held its breath. The wind passed, yet the leaves did not stir. Siddhartha opened his eyes, and in the still air, even enlightenment felt hollow. The river whispered nearby, carrying fragments of his old life. The prince, the seeker, the starving ascetic, all gone like ripples fading on water. A strange thought entered his mind. If all is empty, what remains of compassion? Visions shimmered in the air, faces from lifetimes past. His father's eyes, Yasodhara's tears, the newborn Rahula reaching for him. He had abandoned them all for truth, but now truth felt like a cold sky above a silent sea. In the midst of victory, his heart trembled with a human ache. Had he traded love for wisdom? Or were they the same? A tremor ran through the ground, gentle as breath. The earth, witness to his awakening, seemed to whisper, "All that arises will fade, even doubt." Siddhartha touched the soil again, feeling its pulse. The wind moved through the body leaves like unseen chanting. He closed his eyes, listening not for answers, but for peace. From the edge of stillness came a whisper, not of wind, not of memory. It was subtle, intimate, familiar. "You have seen the truth, but can they?" The voice did not come from outside. It rose from within his own heart. Siddhartha's breath faltered. The body leaves rustled again. Dawn had broken, but a new night was forming inside. The stillness broke. A low wind moved through the forest, carrying whispers that were not of leaves. Siddhartha's eyes opened. The air felt heavier now, his thoughts echoing against the silence like footsteps in an empty hall. Enlightenment had freed him, yet the question lingered. What if no one understands? His heart, once clear as the morning sky, now mirrored clouds drifting in. The voice that had once tempted him beneath the same tree now returned, but softer, closer, almost tender. "You have crossed the ocean," it said. "But can you carry others? The world is not ready. They will mock your silence, twist your words, forget your truth." Siddhartha did not move. His own voice whispered back, "Then, what is this awakening for?" The air before him rippled like water, and in its reflection, he saw himself, not as the Buddha, but as Siddhartha, the wanderer, hungry, uncertain, afraid. The two gazes met, the seeker and the awakened, the questioner and the silent one. Between them a thin veil of doubt shimmered like heat over sand. Was there ever truly a difference? Mara's voice shifted to sweetness, promising peace. "Stay here. The world will not change. Why suffer their blindness?" Siddhartha's face softened. For a breath, his heart almost agreed. The forest was calm, his body weightless, his mind still. Yet something deeper stirred. Compassion, tender and restless, like a bird caged by wisdom. The wind rose suddenly, scattering body leaves across the forest floor. Siddhartha opened his eyes, calm yet fierce, his voice cutting through the air. "Mara, you are not my enemy. You are my mind." The shadow paused, trembling before dissolving into light. But even as it vanished, its question remained, echoing softly. "Then why do you still hesitate?" The forest vanished before him. In its place, visions poured like rain. faces of people crying, starving, dying, searching. The world spun in endless birth and death. Siddhartha sat unmoving, but his breath trembled. Enlightenment had freed him, yet now he saw the chains of all beings. His silence felt heavier than any cry. If truth cannot ease their pain, what is its worth? He heard it, a single cry that became countless voices rising from the river of life. Pain without beginning, without end. Every voice was his own, every tear his reflection. The wind turned colder, carrying echoes of grief. He could leave it all behind, or he could stay and walk among them. His heart whispered, "They are still me." The truth shone like the sun, too bright to bear, to see all, to feel all. This was no peace. It was love with open eyes. His body felt light, but his heart heavy, carrying the suffering of countless lives. He realized that enlightenment was not escape, but responsibility. To know was to care. To awaken was to return. Mara's voice returned, now calm, almost kind. You owe them nothing. Walk away, Buddha. Rest in the silence you earned. Siddhartha's gaze lifted toward the horizon. He saw not peace, but waiting souls, countless and lost. A single tear fell, not from sadness, but from decision. The silence that saves only one heart is no true silence. The visions faded. The forest returned, the river, the tree, the wind. But now, everything breathed with him. Siddhartha smiled faintly. The first in days, the question was no longer, should I speak? But how may they hear? From the depths of stillness, compassion began to move like water finding its course. The forest was quiet again, bathed in the gold of afternoon. The river shimmered like a mirror of heaven. Then came the voice, soft as wind, tender as sleep. Rest now, Buddha. You have done enough. Let the world turn without you. Siddhartha's breath slowed. For the first time, peace itself felt heavy. The air thickened. The world seemed to fade. He saw himself surrounded by light, floating above pain, above sound, above need. It was perfection, endless, untouched, complete. But within that perfection there was no laughter, no tears, no heart. He whispered, without them, what is peace? And the vision trembled. Mara's voice, gentle but cunning, echoed through the brightness. Stay in bliss. The world will not change. Siddhartha's face softened. Even his pulse slowed. The light wrapped around him like silk, beautiful, silent, safe. But deep inside, a small ache remained, the ache of love, calling him back to the living. From far away came a sound, a child crying. Then another. Then thousands. The light flickered. The vision of perfection cracked open, revealing the world beneath. Mothers searching, men fighting, rivers drying. Siddhartha's eyes opened wide. Peace that forgets the suffering cannot be peace. The light dimmed. The forest returned. Siddhartha sat beneath the Bodhi tree, eyes steady, the faintest smile on his lips. He whispered to the wind, I will not rest until all hearts are free. The voice of Mara fell silent. The body leaves swayed gently, as if bowing. Even peace must serve compassion. The morning after the storm of doubt was calm. Dew clung to every leaf like unspoken prayer. Siddhartha walked through the forest slowly, each step touching the earth with gratitude. His heart was lighter, yet still searching. From afar came the sound of wooden bangles and a young woman's humming, the sound of life returning. When she saw him, Sujata's eyes widened. The calm man before her seemed both familiar and eternal. Without a word, she bowed and placed her bowl before him. Milk, rice, simple and warm, the same gesture from long ago repeated like destiny. Siddhartha smiled. In her act of kindness he saw the truth made flesh. Goodness needs no wisdom to shine. He accepted the bowl and ate slowly. Each grain tasted of earth, sun, and kindness. He had tasted the bliss of enlightenment, but this was the taste of the world itself. As he finished, he bowed to her in silence. She had offered what all beings seek to give: a place for compassion to live. Sujata looked up timidly. "Are you a god?" she whispered. Siddhartha smiled gently. "No," he said, "only awake." She bowed again, tears glimmering on her cheeks. In that moment he realized enlightenment was not to be worshipped, but to be shared. Her faith reflected his purpose back to him, like the first light of dawn. As Sujata walked away, her figure faded into sunlight. Siddhartha watched her go, heart steady and full. The forest no longer seemed silent. It breathed with life, with purpose. He turned toward the northern road. Somewhere, others were waiting. His path was clear now. Wisdom was not a mountain to climb, but a bridge to cross together. The forest woke gently. Dew shimmered on each leaf, birds sang from unseen branches, and the earth smelled of renewal. Siddhartha sat in meditation, his body still as stone, but his heart alive with movement. Peace no longer meant stillness, it meant readiness. The world was calling softly through the wind. He touched the ground once more, the same soil that had witnessed his fear, his doubt, his awakening. The earth felt alive, whispering beneath his fingers. It seemed to say, "Go, teach them what you have found." His eyes opened, clear and unshaken. All that was left was to walk. From the corner of his mind came a faint whisper. Mara's voice, softer than ever. "You will fail." Siddhartha smiled. Perhaps. But even failure can teach. The voice faded into birdsong. He rose, his body light, his steps sure. Even the shadow had become his companion on the path. The forest glowed with quiet majesty. Every branch, every leaf seemed to bow as he stood. Light wrapped around him, not to glorify, but to guide. He no longer carried enlightenment. He had become its expression. His silence was not distance, but invitation. The world would soon hear it in words. He turned toward the road north, where 5 old friends once walked seeking truth. Each step away from the tree was both farewell and beginning. Behind him, the bodhi leaves rustled softly, not in sadness, but blessing. The Buddha walked, not as a man leaving peace, but as peace itself, finally moving. The road stretched before him like an old song, long, dusty, and alive with silence. Siddhartha Gautama, now the Buddha, walked barefoot across the plains of Magadha. The sun rose over fields of rice and river reeds, turning the air golden with promise. He passed farmers, herdsmen, beggars, and children, each face reflecting the same question. What do we see? He offered no words, only a smile that seemed to still the noise of the morning. Birds followed his shadow, and the earth seemed softer beneath his steps. Though alone, he carried the weight of all beings in his heart. Every footprint felt like a vow, to walk not toward peace, but with it. Ahead lay Sarnath, and 5 seekers who once turned away from him. The wind brushed his robe, whispering through the fields. Now begins the teaching that will never end. As the Buddha reached the deer park of Sarnath, the 5 ascetics who once called him brother saw him from afar. Their hearts stirred with both reverence and resentment. They remembered the man who had left the path of hunger, believing he had fallen into comfort. Yet as he approached, a stillness unlike any they had known settled over the grove. The birds hushed, the air thickened, and even the deer paused mid-step. His presence was quiet but vast. Not a man returning, but a truth revealed. One of them, oldest among them, whispered, "He walks as if the earth bows beneath him." The Buddha stopped a few paces away and simply said, "Friends, I have found a way that ends all suffering." Their anger melted like mist in sunlight. For the first time, they listened, not to a man, but to the silence between his words. He sat upon the grass. The five gathered before him. No fire burned. No drum sounded. Only the hush of wind and the soft cry of a deer nearby. Then he spoke. His voice was low, clear, like water flowing over stone. "There is suffering. There is its cause. There is its ending. And there is a path." The words fell like rain into dry soil. The five listened, and within them, something ancient stirred. A memory of light. He spoke of balance, of the middle way between indulgence and denial. The forest seemed to breathe in rhythm with his words. As he finished, the sun broke through the clouds, striking the ground in radiant circles. Thus began the Dhammacakkappavattana Sutta, the turning of the wheel of Dharma. The world would never again sleep as it once had. Truth had taken a voice, and compassion had found its road. When his voice faded, there was no applause, only tears. The five ascetics bowed low, pressing their foreheads to the earth. In that gesture, the Sangha was born. The Buddha lifted them gently, calling them not disciples but companions on the path. He spoke to them as one speaks to the dawn, patient, certain, knowing it will grow brighter each day. The deer park shimmered with life. The sound of rustling leaves, the murmur of awakening minds. In that small grove, the seed of compassion took root in the soil of the world. Far away, unseen by any man, flowers bloomed out of season, and the wind carried the scent of change. Even Mara, watching from the shadows, smiled faintly, for doubt itself had found peace in the truth it could not break. As the sun set over Sarnath, golden light turned to amber, then to deep blue. The Buddha sat quietly, watching the first stars appear. Around him, the five rested in silence, their minds still echoing his words. The world was vast, full of pain, and yet, in that moment, it seemed healed. He closed his eyes, listening, not to sound, but to the pulse of all life. Insects hummed, the earth breathed, the universe turned. He understood then. Awakening was not a single moment under a tree, but every step, every act of kindness, every thought that lifts another from suffering. He smiled, a smile that would travel across centuries, carried in hearts yet unborn. The night deepened, but it no longer felt dark. The wheel had turned. Peace was walking among men.